right, so we are now back. We're recording and we're live and we're on Thursday, the biweekly fly tying session for Project Healing Waters. And Mike, I am going to turn it over to you. Give me a minute to spotlight you. There you go. You got it, sir.
Okay. Kind of wasn't prepared, but we have with us tonight from Cornhusker Fly Fishers, Eric Einspahr and Tammy Goodwater. They're both renowned fly tyers in the state of Nebraska. Eric even teaches fly fishing or used to teach.
Still does.
Still does at University of Nebraska. He's, boy, you talk about the trout slam. He's gotten, what did you get? 2 in 1 day or 2 in 1?
2 in 1 weekend. One of them was all in a day. Yeah.
Right.
That's disgusting. I've been working for 2 years to get one.
Right. And all I've ever gotten was rainbow in the state of Nebraska. So,
well, you should hear about my first one sometime. It took about that long. So
anyway, they're going to do a tie off tonight on 1 or maybe 2 if we have enough time flies. And I will post the link to the voting page in the chat window. So as we get toward the end of the tying, then you can just click on that link and click on whichever fly you think turned out the best, and then we'll tally the votes. So we'll go ahead and get started. Eric, Tammy, which one wants to start first?
Eric, I mean, we could tie each, we could go each step, and I'd tie the tie.
I want Tammy to go first.
Okay. Great.
Okay, let me spotlight you, Tammy.
Sure.
How about Tammy, you go first this fly, and then I'll go first the next fly. How about that?
Okay, sounds good.
Before you start, let me welcome Al and Gretchen Beatty to our tying session tonight. So those of you that don't know Al, there he is.
Hi, Al.
Hi, Al.
How you doing?
Oh, good to see you.
Gretchen's over there waving her hand.
Hello, Gretchen.
All right, so I got in the vise a size 6 streamer hook with a little spinner on there, I guess a small propeller, I think, and a bead I got at the craft store, check glass beads, and a cone head. I think it's a small size. So let's see. I will just put some weight on here on the back. Just so this bead stays in, or the cone head stays in place. I don't cut the hook off first. I think we should go at each step. I don't know if we should do that or tie one at a time. What do you guys think?
Go ahead and tie the whole fly.
Okay. All right. I just put some super glue on there and shoved it up into that cone head, but giving that enough space for that spinner to move. And I got some Semper Fi thread here, 12/aught. Sorry, my thread just came out of my bobbin. I was not ready for that. Have you fished these flies a lot? Anybody?
No.
I haven't. I'll make a comment about that when I get to mine.
Okay, because I have to be honest, I have not, but I can't wait. I am going to get out and try and fish this fly and see how it works. I bet it works pretty good. I imagine it works similar to spin casting. I think they make these in bigger sizes for spin casting.
I think I muted.
So just covering up this thread wrap or the lead wraps here. And we'll go to the back. Yeah, I'll kind of put on, I have, this is gonna be a purple and black. Oh yeah. So there's my tail. Purple marabou.
Great colors.
Cut it at an angle so it kind of tapers into those thread wraps so it kind of keeps it in line. And I'm going to put on some wire here. I guess I'm just going to tie this like a woolly bird with the propeller on the front. Basically all it is. And we'll tie on a feather. And our chenille. And now I'm just going to wrap everything forward. Yeah. Whoops. Everybody's so quiet. Lots of concentration. And now just counter up this wire through this feather. And helicopter that off. Sorry, my travel device keeps moving. But there it is. Oh, I'm going to push this back a little bit. There we go. There,
Very well done.
that's about it.
Look nice.
Tammy, what do you use that fly for? Which species?
Bass will hit this. I bet pike will hit it. Walleye, because it's flashy. I think, you know, they like that kind of stuff. And I bet crappie would go after it too, I would imagine.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, what size did you tie that in, Tammy?
This is 6.
6, okay.
Yep. So, and yeah, I can't wait to try it. I'm gonna take this over to Wanahoo, not Wanahoo. I'm gonna take it over to Flanagan and give it a try over there because there's pike over there.
Might
So-
get a toothy critter.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping because I'm trying to add to my species list. So,
If you do any trolling out of a canoe or a kayak or something like that, those work really well for that.
yeah, I bet. I'm gonna be fishing from the bank because I don't have anything like that. But
I'll bet you could fish that on a fly rod with, similar to, how, dare I dive into the, spinning tackle, but like a panther martin or a rooster tail,
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
on a, you could kind of throw it out and let the current swing it around and
mhm,
I bet that'd be fantastic.
yeah. You could probably put a couple feathers on the back of this, kind of. Yeah, it would look cool. You can tie these in a lot of different ways. But
We are
Nice job.
gradually merging fly fishing and spin fishing, aren't we?
yeah,
No,
you
no, we're
kind of
not.
are.
Yeah, we are.
It's okay.
Taking the best of both and merging them into one.
Yep, nothing wrong with that. So, but yeah, that's how I would tie this. This is the second one I've tied, and I don't know. I used to tie these probably 12 years ago, but I haven't tied one in a long time, so it was kind of nice to tie a fly I haven't tied in a long time.
Think that would work good on a jig hook?
What's that?
Would that work good on a jig hook, do you think?
Oh, I'm sure it would. There's enough weight in this that it would probably.
My
work
only
just fine.
comment on the jig hook would be you can't get a 90-degree jig hook or that propeller might bang into it. You'd need like a 45-degree or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I think the 60 would be good for that.
yeah. This is just a straight streamer. Probably a long shank hook. I don't know exactly what it is, but
All right, so is Eric next? He looks like
I'm-
he's
I'm
chomping at
ready.
the bit. His
But-
fingers are going 90 miles a minute there.
yeah,
He's-
he can't.
All right, it looks like it's over on me, right?
You got it, my friend. It's all yours.
So yeah, this is commercially known as the Pistol Pete if you go out and buy them. My friends and I kind of call it the cheater bugger because like Tammy said, it is pretty much a woolly bugger with a spinner, and it's basically the fly fishing answer to the Panther Martin. Is it cheating? I don't know. It does push kind of the edges of what's acceptable in fly fishing, and that's part of the reason why I like it. I kind of like mine a little bit thinner than Tammy had hers tied. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I'm going to tie this on a, I think this is, I'm going to mispronounce this company, Umpqua. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to,
Umpqua.
thank you. I'm going to tie it in a size 10 on a 4X shank. And I use this a lot for panfish. And so bluegill and crappie. And if you know about crappie, how they strike a target, they typically strike up. So I'm going to tie it with a smaller bead. I'm not going to tie an underbody because I want it to ride kind of high in the water and kind of buzz through where a crappie can go up and get it. And so this is one of my favorite crappie and bluegill flies. If you look on the wall behind me, I have a whole wall of my master anglers. I've got like a whole corner here where I just went nuts on a couple week stretch and caught a whole bunch of them on this exact fly here. So it's one of my favorite springtime flies for that reason. So what I'm going to do here, I've got my hook different from what Tammy did. And I'm going to critique Tammy's fly here. Tammy, I love you. So I hope you take this in good measure here.
You know it's all good.
I am not going to put a bead on the front of the hook. And there's a very specific reason why. If you put the two beads together, I think there gets to be this tension where those beads can actually press against the propeller and really inhibit it from spinning. And if it does that, or if you pull it through a little bit of moss or something gets on the fly, it can actually jam that propeller up and cause the whole fly to spin and cause line twist. So when I tie these flies, I specifically leave a pretty big gap at the front of the hook to give that plenty of space to turn and spin and stuff like that. So I've been tying these for like 10 years. I've gradually come to this kind of one specific way that I tie these that I like. I'm pretty partial to UTC thread. I'm going to use a 140 here because when I get to the head of the fly, I'm going to want to put a little tension on this. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to start significantly back from the bead here. And that's just so I can give myself plenty of space to build a head and leave an abnormally large gap at the head of this fly. So I'm going to tie all the way back to the bend here. I've got my black marabou. I'm going to tie black on black, which is my favorite color. Part of the reason why I like this fly too is that because this propeller's on here, it gives it a lot of great motion and a lot of great vibration in the water. So for me, it makes a really good murky water fly. So here in eastern Nebraska, you know, it's going to rain here soon is what it looks like out my window. You know, if the still water gets murked up a little bit and gets harder, I like a dark fly, dark water, dark days. But this propeller also gives it just that little bit extra of a vibration or something to kind of give the fish something else to kind of zero in on. I kind of like my flies pretty sparse, so I'm going to strip away a lot of the marabou. And then I'm going to try to get the tail here, maybe just a touch longer than the hook shank and length, about like that. What I used to do with all of these flies, I used to have a coating system for my buggers where if I tied it with an underbody, I kind of just left the fly alone and tied it normally. But if I tied it without an underbody, I'd tie some flashaboo or something in the tail, just so in my fly box I could see which ones have underbodies. That's a good, I think, woolly bugger tip or streamer tip. If you're gonna tie weight underneath, I always have a hard time in my box remembering what was where. You know, doing something either on the head or the tail is a good way to kind of differentiate that. Next thing I'm going to tie in is my hackle. I'm not going to use a wire. I don't know why. I like to tie these fast, so I typically omit that step. This is just my dry fly hackle, but instead of pulling from where I would tie my dry flies from, I'm going to you can kind of see I've tied a lot of these and I've got this pretty well worn down. I'm going to pick a hackle kind of from the, which would be probably a touch too big for a dry fly, but still pretty thin because I don't want this thing to get too buggery here. So I try to go just past the hook point there. Nice kind of long hackle here. And the other thing I like to do in this step that I found with woolly buggers is I'm going to tie this on backwards, but I'm going to tie it with the shiny side down because hackles have a convex and I want the hackles to kind of convex back a little bit. And so I found if I tie this down first, when I start making my initial wraps, that helps me to get that hackle so it doesn't twist on me or tie on there backwards. All right. So I've got that like that. Then I've got the good old chenille. Black on black again. I suppose color doesn't matter, but that's my favorite color to tie these in. And then normally if I was tying a woolly bugger, I would snug this thing right up to the bead like this, all the way against the eye of the hook. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start, again, significantly far back here and leave just a huge gap. And remember, what I'm trying to do here is give that propeller plenty of space in the front. So make my wraps here.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I've tied this a few times here.
Yeah.
And now I've got the good old rotary vise here. So I'm going to use a half hitch here to kind of lock off my thread. A rotary vise is by no means necessary to tie flies, but gosh, it sure makes things like woolly buggers a lot quicker here. So I'm going to take my chenille, kind of wrap that on here. And then I'm going to go right up to the top of where I stopped my thread just about. And you can still see here a lot of space here for that give and that bead and that propeller. And I'm going to close some of that off here in just a second. But I'm going to wrap around.
What size hook is that again?
This is a size 10. I like these in 10 to 12. You know, the bigger ones will absolutely work for bass, but this is my go-to kind of spring fly, especially an early spring fly too. Now, when I tie this chenille off, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to start to build a cone-shaped head here. And I'm going to show you how I set the bead in a second. So I don't want to wrap forward anymore. I'm going to wrap kind of backwards. And this is part of the reason why I use this 4X this 4X shank, because you're going to notice I'm going to end up with a relatively small woolly bugger, right? After I have all the space for this play in here. So now I'm going to take I'm going to half hitch again, tie this off. Bring the bobbin cradle back around here. And now I'm going to take my hackle. And remember, I tied it in upside down. And I've always found, and I don't know, this must just be the way I handle materials, but when I start it upside down, that hackle has a habit of flipping on me, and then it ties itself in correctly. So I'm just going to wrap that on. And then I like a nice thick head on my woolly buggers just to push a little bit of water. So I'm going to do a couple wraps right on top of each other at the end. Get that bobbin cradle out of the way. And then I'm going to lock this down again. So 1, 2. And one of the things I like to be careful with here is not to let that thread jump forward. Remember, you're building kind of a cone-shaped head here, so the thread's going to want to jump forward. And I'm going to do everything I can to work that thread backwards towards the fly. So now that I've got that on there, I'm going to trim off the hackle. And you're going to notice just kind of naturally, as you're doing this, every time I come up here to tie, the fly tends to want to float forward. That's why I start really far back, almost where you'd be like, wow, that's too far back, Eric. I'm going to work back here a little bit, kind of lock that hackle into place. And you can I can kind of hear, I don't know if you can hear it on the video, but my thread's jumping forward a little bit. And now I'm going to do a couple of half hitches. I would prefer to do a whip finish on a woolly bugger, kind of right behind the bead. But on this fly, I don't find it necessary. Now, the second thing that I've learned about these flies, I want to keep a big amount of space on the front of the fly so that propeller's got plenty of room to spin and move and stuff like that. Or if it catches some junk, you can still kind of spin around it. But here's the other thing. You'll notice I've kind of got to see if I can get that a little bit closer to the camera here. I've kind of got an ugly shaped little head there. And that's okay. I'm going to cover that up with the bead. But one of the things I've noticed too is that if this bead is loose and it can move around, it can naturally get pinched up against there, and it can kind of inhibit that that propeller from spinning a little bit. So the next thing I'm going to use is one of my favorite fly tying tools. So this is a good life hack for you on your bench. And that's a good old Post-it note. And then I'm going to use a little bit of gel control super glue to kind of hold this bead back in place. Now on my bench, I do have the liquid stuff too. And I used to use this as well, but the liquid runs. The reason why I like the gel control super glue is that I'm going to take this and just put a little dab right on the Post-it note, kind of a dab about that big, not very big. And then I've got an old bodkin that I just kind of use for glue and stuff like that. And I'm just going to get just the tiniest little bit of that on there. I'm going to stroke my hackle fibers back. I'm going to put just a little bit on the top and a little bit on the bottom. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to do is put this bead back. Now I have a habit of gluing my fingers to a fly. So I'm going to use my needle nose pliers here. Just kind of grab that bead on both sides and just push it back onto there and then let it sit. Now, I don't use the liquid super glue anymore, because when I used to do this, that liquid would run right down the shank, and I'd actually glue the propeller to the shank. And that gel control, I think it fills in the countersunk bead a little bit better. But on top of that, it just, I don't know, I feel like I get a better hold. But now you can see when I spin this propeller, or better yet, fail. Oh, I see what I got wrong. I got a hackle sticking through there. Hang on, let me trim that out of there. Occasionally this happens. I can't get it. Epic fail as soon as I live stream. It works perfect in the tie. I know what I'm doing, I promise.
Eric, a little hint that I learned from Amy Milne and Healing Waters. If you get some of those magnets that you use in your, that come with your hooks, if you put your super glue on that magnet, it'll stay fresh for hours.
Really?
There we go.
On a magnet?
I didn't believe that until I tried it, and it actually works. I've had super glue stay liquid for at least an hour.
Wow.
That's
Interesting.
magic.
There we go. Okay. So now I've still got a little bit to work off there. What I'm going to do when I get offline here is I'm actually going to take a lighter and just kind of just lightly singe the front of that. It's just got a couple of those hackles sticking forward, which is not really a big deal. It'll come right off. If I hold up my kind of practice fly here and give that one a blow, you can see that thing just spins and spins and spins, which is why I don't like the 2 beads on the front of there. That just gives it a lot more action in the water. It also makes it a lot more moss proof and stuff like that. So that's the Pistol Pete, what I like to call the cheater bugger. It is probably my favorite spring fly. So there you go.
I would like to let Tammy know that I saw her just blowing on the propeller of her fly. Just to...
I'm like, wait, is mine? I did. And you know what? Mine does not spin like Eric's.
Yeah. And that's
awesome.
I will do that for every one of these that come off my vise, just to test to make sure the propeller spins well enough. To be honest, if I can't get this one to go, it probably won't go in my box. I think I just need to burn the hackle off. But
yeah.
And the other nice thing is when you test this, you can actually feel the fly vibrate. And that, I mean, you can feel what it's supposed to do, right? It's just like a Panther Mark, and it's just my favorite. It almost sounds like when you're casting it, when you hear it go zipping by your ear, you actually hear it go whoop, whoop, and flying through the air behind you. So yeah, so no bead in front.
Well, I'll have to try that next time, because mine is not spinning as well as that, and I could see why that I put that bead in front of that it would kind of take away from the.
And I think you see that on a lot of those patterns, to put that bead up front, especially on the bigger pan, or like the bigger bass patterns. But a long time ago went just the single bead. It's just the trick is you got to have it back far enough so it doesn't crowd the and push into itself.
Okay, everybody out there, if it's go ahead, Mike.
I would have never thought of the line twisting if the propeller was hung up.
It's kind of a big problem if that propeller gets stuck. I fished this enough to know that, like, Josh, there'd be times I'd pull it up out of the water and like your tippet just twists up on itself because it's so line twisted. Yeah. So.
And I used to hate woolly buggers because the way I tied them, I didn't do the 2 wraps in the front of hackle. I just spiraled the hackle back. And even on a woolly bugger, if you spiral the hackle back, that will actually twist that fly as you're retrieving it.
Mm-hmm.
So the 2 turns in the front that you do on a woolly bugger is for a purpose. Not only for bulk in the front there, but it keeps that fly from twisting.
Huh. I guess I've always done that, but I've never tied it without. I'll have to tie one without it and try that.
Well, you know, my comment is going to be that if you were fishing tenkara, you wouldn't have that issue either way.
Yeah.
I have my tenkara rod.
Everybody, the voting is open. If you look in open up your chat window, Mike has posted the links for the two flies. So please access those links and cast your votes.
So the link on the bottom, it should start off with docs.google. That's the correct link. The other ones I was pasting in there, it wasn't pasting properly. The other ones are just a link to this Zoom call. So if it starts with docs.google, that's the one you want to click on and do your voting.
Sounds good. And another, you kept saying your thread was jumping off the front end of your fly. Keep a little block of wax next to you. Wax your thread all the time. That will help.
That helps. Yep. You could go really aggressive and do what the salmon fly tires do and put a little liquid super glue on there, because that'll keep it in place too. But that just ups the odds I'm going to glue a fly to my fingers. So
right. Yeah.
Question for you, Mike. The background that you're using is definitely not Nebraska. At least it's not the part of Nebraska I remember.
Oh, come on, Al.
That kind of looks like Montana to me, but
I believe it's Heroes Ranch in Montana. It's a project, Healing Waters Fly Fishing. They sent out an email that had some background screens you could use for Zoom calls. And when I first tried to use it, it wasn't working out, it was 180 degrees out. It was like mirrored. And that's how they send them. But I ended up flipping it horizontally and then reloading the picture, and it worked out fine. But anyway, no, that's not my backyard.
Now, it looks good, Mike.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so Eric, you were second to go on the first fly, so I guess you're first to go on this fly. Is that right?
That's right. So
So we're
let me
going to
get my
talk about the
coordinates set
voting
here.
yet.
I beg your pardon. Say that again, Mike.
Has everybody voted?
Yeah,
Okay, hang on a second. Let's say, has there anyone that has not voted yet?
I'm not gonna vote. I'm biased.
If Tammy didn't vote, I won't vote. Yep.
But I can't wait to get out and try this fly though, for sure.
Oh, I know. There we
This
go,
is this
and-
cheater bugger is the fly I've got the most master anglers on. So
Is it?
by far, yeah.
Well, I've gotten 4 votes. So are we going to call this final? I think that's final.
I've never,
Let-
70
Let me vote,
75?
Mike. I haven't voted yet. I knew I forgot something.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and vote, John.
I've never fished too many woolly buggers.
You have not?
No, I'm more of a, what they call a purist fly fisher.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
EWOs and all that stuff.
Yep, yep.
But
Yeah,
I can't
this-
do it here.
This fly is probably not for the purist.
Yeah.
That's why I call it the cheater bugger. I try to be pretty honest about it. So
Yeah.
And I'll tell
Okay,
you,
Mike, I voted.
I will fish an occasional woolly bugger, but for the most part, I try to get them with other things. And if I do fish a woolly bugger, it's without any bead or anything like that, because I want it to, in Nebraska anyway, most of the fishing I do is very shallow. And so I
Mhm.
want it to just kind of very slowly sink or very slowly hang in the water column. So I don't use much weight on any streamers that I use or this kind of fly. So let me go
Yeah,
back to the voting.
That's a good point, Mike, because I think fly fishing is more about the fisherman than it is about catching fish. And it's
But I
about
will-
fishing, not catching.
I will tell you, I am 90% sure I'm going to the Black Hills in June this year. So thank you, Eric, for sending me 2 years ago some info on some of the streams up there, but I may
Oh.
not get to spearfish. But
Mike, call me in 2 weeks because I'm leaving for the hills in 48 hours. So
are you really?
yep.
We've got a Airbnb that's right on Rapid Creek between Pactola and Rapid City. And so there's probably just browns in there, but I'm going to do some fishing in other areas, of course, and probably do some in Custer. I should be able to get what we used to call in the olden days, my Black Hills Triple Crown, Brook Brown and Rainbow. But I've seen some videos lately where there's a lot of tiger trout and even some cutthroat in the Black Hills. So I'd really like to find out. I'm going to call the fly shop up there and see if I can find out where the cutthroats are.
Well, I may be going to the Black Hills. I may be going to the Black Hills as well. TU from Sioux Falls has got a trip scheduled for the 23rd of June, and I'm thinking very seriously about joining them up there. So
Mhm. Well, that's the place to go this year. I'm
All right.
going up there too in 2 weeks. I'm leaving on the
Wow.
22nd.
Oh,
We're leaving in June on like the 19th or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's the voting. 80% to 20%. Eric is the winner.
Eric.
Now it's
Woo!
time. She's been beating me in the club contest left and right. It's about time I get one. So
good job.
All right. So back to the next fly. What is the next fly?
I think we're doing the foam beetle, right, Tammy, for
Right,
fly number
foam
2?
beetle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've got my practice fly kind of tied up here. I'll kind of show this. This is kind of a nice simple fly. It's a great stillwater fly too. I like to use this a lot on hopper dropper rigs. I teach as kind of mentioned before, I co-teach the University of Fly Fishing or the University of Nebraska Fly Fishing. Wouldn't that be great? A University of Fly Fishing, University of Nebraska Fly Fishing course with Jim. And I am not sure if Jim's on here, but I got to give him props because it's definitely a team effort. But this is a great indicator fly, even on still water. It's just kind of a nice, simple fly. Tammy will probably tie a prettier one. This is the one I'm expecting her to kick my rear end on, but just kind of get to it, I guess. On this fly, if you guys ever watched the CFF videos we did during the pandemic, you'll know that I've got a love affair with the Mustad 3366 hook. And you'll notice that, hey, Eric, this is a dry fly. This is a streamer hook. Like, that doesn't seem to match up, but I tie this on a streamer hook for a very specific reason. I found if I tie these on dry fly hooks, these particular foam beetles, I don't know what it is about it, but they have a habit of landing upside down. So I feel like with this streamer hook, I can get it to keel a little bit better and land right side up, which is especially nice if you tie them in black. Now you can tie these in any color. I've got them in green and tan and stuff like that too. And they show up a little bit, but particularly the black ones, I want to keel so I can get my little hot spot to show up there. So I'm going to take my good old Mustad 3366, put that in the vise. And then again, I'm going to use the same old thread here on foam flies. Again, I like the 140 UTC just because I can put a little bit more pressure on it, which I think is nice with the foam. This one I'm going to start pretty far back. And then I'm going to trim this one off. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, we got the good old sheet foam here. And so when I tie these with the sheet foam, I always try to get the foam. I try to cut out a length that's about the width of the hook shank. And so kind of how I'll plan that and how I'll do that is I'll take a hook and I'll actually just kind of stab the foam kind of down to give myself a line to cut down. So I get kind of a nice even strip here. So I'm going to put that on the top. I'm going to try to cover most of the shank. When you do a foam fly, this foam, especially at first, really wants to kind of twist around. So I do just a couple loose wraps just to kind of get it started. And then as I come backwards, I tighten down a little bit more. And then for some reason, it's always easiest to get the end of the fly kind of on this first go around. Because if you pinch into this foam too much, and then you decide you want to move the tie-in point on the back further back, it gets to be a real pain in the rear end. So now I'm going to wrap a few more times, just a little bit tighter, just to keep this fly from kind of rotating around. I don't think you need to mush this fly into the hook shank or this foam into the hook shank by any means, but just enough so that kind of doesn't want to twist and rotate around the hook shank there. Next thing I'm going to do, and this is where you can really experiment with this fly and have a lot of fun. I'm going to use a little dubbing. I'm kind of partial to the ice dub, the UV black. I think it just gives it if I move that back and forth, gives it just a little bit of a shimmer here. So Tammy mentioned the good old wax. Of course, that's a great thing here to kind of help hold this on. So just a little bit of wax on the thread and a good old pinch of this UV. This stuff comes in all sorts of colors. This is one of my favorite tying materials, but I'm going to do just kind of a pinch like so, not a whole ton of it. And then I'm just going to put it on in a dubbing noodle. And not a real tight one because I want this to be a little bit buggy here. And so now I'm going to start with that body and just kind of work it forward. And then, ooh, just a little bit too short. I'm going to put just a touch more on here. And I'm going to take this all the way to the eye of the hook. And then once I get that up to the eye, I'm going to work myself back just a touch here. And my second tie-in point, kind of my final tie-in point, is going to be back here, maybe about a hook, an eye width, kind of back from the eye here. And then with this fly, you're just going to take and bend this over, and then I'm going to kind of fold. I'm going to use my fingers to pinch and fold that over the hook shank. I'm going to take one kind of loose wrap just to make sure I like it, and then slowly pull. And I like to pull straight down. Now that foam is going to torque again, so you have to use your left hand to kind of hold it in place here. And then do a second one, and then kind of, you're just aiming for that groove every time you go back across here again.
Eric,
So
what thread are you using for this?
This is the UTC 140.
Okay.
And I really like, I usually tie with the 90 on most, or the 90, the 70 on most of my flies, but I find for these foam flies, these you really got to crank down on and you'll break them. It's worth the 140 here. So, all right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off kind of this tag here on the front, and I'm going to aim for just a little bit longer than the eye of the hook. So I usually just kind of find the eye with my scissors, back up a little bit, and then just trim it off. And then the second thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this tag piece here. I'm going to set it right back on top of the fly. And I'm going to do that same thing again, just to give it another little layer here. Keep following that same groove that you made there. And then trim that one off. And then last thing I'm going to do here is my hot spot that I'm losing underneath my computer monitor, apparently. Hang on a second. I got to dig that out. All right. So I got a piece of the orange. This is probably tied about 1/3 of the width of the fly. I suppose it could be the same width. I kind of like them a little bit smaller. And then on my kind of ciders or hot spot or whatever you want to call it, I like to tie them in a little long at first. And like that's obviously too much, but gosh, when I fish these, I don't know. I feel like I'm the young buck in this crowd that I see on the screen here, but my eyes are not that great. So
What are you trying to say, Eric?
No. I'm trying to say I'm not a spring chicken anymore. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say I'm in good company. That's what. But I'm gonna kind of trim this off a little bit and leave that a little bit longer. But you can do this long, you can do this short. I like it long because, like I said, my eyes are going bad quickly. Last thing on my practice fly here, I've got another little thing with this. I talked about it being customizable. I've got kind of black legs on that one. You can really get creative with the legs on this. I'm going to use these centipede legs. I really like these for foam patterns and for legs on stuff. I just got these in the mail too. I haven't even tied a fly with them yet. So I'm going to just kind of take a single strand is what I'm going to do here. And then how I like to do this, I get a little frugal when it comes to materials. So I'm going to try not to have a lot of waste on this, but I'm going to put, and I'm going to actually double it over in my fingers like this. And kind of just measure that out. I can get it just right. And then kind of pull that around. And then that you can kind of see slid towards the bottom of the fly a little bit. If you do a couple of wraps, you can actually, before you tighten down, you can readjust those by just gently pulling on them and kind of working them back up a little bit. So I've got it like that. I'm going to do one good tight wrap here to hold it in place. And then I'm going to trim off the tag here, kind of even. And then I'm going to take that, I've got that loop there. I'm going to cut that off, and now I've got my 2 legs in place there too. With this, some of this material, these legs come all packaged together, and you can just kind of pull them apart and put them in together. With these loose legs, I've always found it's a little easier to just kind of double it over and then tie it in like that. I don't remember where I picked that up. I'm sure YouTube somewhere, but it makes tying these flies a lot easier. That piece is too small. I'm going to get another piece here. All right, so I'm going to take this again, double it over. I'm going to set that on my fly. Remember, you're always chasing that groove. Okay, and I'm a right-handed tire, so I always find it's easier to do the material closer to me, because if the thread tension torques it torques it up instead of down. Plus it's the side I'm looking at, I suppose, so that makes it a little easier too. But I'm gonna do one more to tighten it down, and then I'm gonna do the same thing here. Cut that off. I'm just gonna kind of push all these up and just see if they're about the same length. Flies catch more fishermen than they do fish, is I think the saying. So, does the bluegill, would a trout with something like that care? No, probably not, but I do. And then the last thing here, you could totally just finish this fly right here and call it done. I like to kind of come back here and just take a little bit more ice stub. I'm going to get a little bit more of my wax. And then I'm just going to put a tiny little touch of ice stub on. You could do this in a contrasting color like a green or something like that. I must be feeling kind of dark today. I'm going black on black on black, but I'm just going to put a little noodle there. And then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to chase this right through where I was. Kind of cover up some of those thread wraps here, give it a little bit more of a bushy look. And then I'm just going to take this fly and make a nice big half hitch right on top of all that stuff. And I guess I'm a little bit like the guy who wears suspenders and a belt. It's probably fine there, but I'm going to put a second one in just to, out of an abundance of caution. And there you go. You've got the foam beetle. Great panfish fly, makes a great top fly on a hopper dropper combination. This one, I think, what did I say, is in a size 8. So this one's a little bit bigger, so it can hold up a little bit heavier of a nymph or something like that. We're in Nebraska. We're not in the mountains or somewhere pretty. Most of our trout are stocked. We do have some wild trout. They don't tend to be that smart. I don't get too picky about them being too big, but bluegill will take that. I've had bass take it. It's just a great top fly when you're fishing a nymph or something like that, especially on top water. So there you go. Tammy, you're up.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm going a little bit smaller. I got a size 12 here, so. And mine isn't too much different.
Tammy, what are you using for a hook?
This is Saber, size 12 nymph wet fly
Okay.
hook. Barbless. I've been going barbless on everything anymore because I just find it a lot easier and better for me and the fish. I'm putting down this scrap piece of foam for everything to grab onto, so it's a little beefier.
Is that a 6/0 thread?
This is it's comparable to a 6/0 thread. This is a 12/0. This is Semper Flag 12/0
Oh, that's right.
thread.
That's right. Okay.
And I'm just using the same
Okay.
same one, same thread for this fly too. So I got the underbody there. Let's see. So this is the, I guess I should talk more about my materials I'm using. I wasn't very, so I'm using this chocolate foam, local foam. It's kind of flashy. And I tied an underbody too because this is expensive. So I didn't want to waste all this under here. So I'm just gonna tie a little
Looks
spot.
like a Japanese beetle that we're so familiar with around here.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like, and that's kind of what I was going after. And I tie it kind of, you know, soft, and then as I wrap, I'll wrap a little bit tighter. So we got that on, and I'm gonna put a peacock curl on this time. I got three hurls for the underbody. I just lined up the tips. I'm gonna cut the tips off because they're not very strong. In. I guess you could do this little trick with the peacock curl. Make a little dubbing loop to make this peacock a little stronger. I think you did this on your last fly, Mike, when I was in here with you.
I wrap it around the backside.
Like,
Right, that should work good.
well, I
As long
guess
as there's some thread in there, that'll hold the stem of the peacock curl down.
yeah. So I guess I'm just wrapping it around here like this. And I'm gonna put a 1/2 inch in here. I've lost my, I don't know how, my bobbin holder. So I'm gonna be so I'm just gonna hold it out with my pinky and use my rotary function. And I go to the front just like Eric does. That. I'm going to go back a little bit as well. And I'm going to make a little bump there in the back. And I go around a couple times and kind of make a wide little, then I'm going to pinch it and pull it. And just put a bunch of wraps in there. And that should hold it. I'm going to cut it off right there. Now the head's kind of made. I'm gonna put, I use the legs, I use these legs that are all together. The round ones that are come in a strip like this. And so I just cut off a small piece. I'm just gonna fold it around the thread. And I'm gonna put it right in the spot where I want it to go. And hold it up a little bit because these round rubber legs seem to move a lot too. To the other side. And now I got my little indicator, I guess you would call it. I tie the front small, and I can just cut the back off to the size I want it. It's not very big.
You must have better eyesight than I do.
I don't even know why. I don't even have my glasses on. I usually need glasses. I don't have that great eyesight. Uh-oh. Got my leg. There we go. And that's about it. Let's see, we're gonna cut these legs. It's still pretty long. I don't really have any rhyme or reason how I cut these legs. I just cut them so the backs are a little bit longer than the front. And then I'll split them. I should have split them before I did that.
That looks just like the things I hate in my garden.
Yeah. I know, me too. I put out one of those traps one time and I think I attracted every single one in the whole area. That's about it. That's my beetle. So. Pretty simple. Not much to say about it. I like to go actually tie these in 14s is my favorite, but I tied it a little bit bigger for tonight so it'd be easier to see. But
That's a good looking fly.
yeah.
I think black works good around this area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
So if anybody wants to vote, I just posted the I believe that's the link to the, let me click on it, make sure. Yeah, that's the foam beetle fly link.
Yep.
It'd be nice if we could do a side by side.
You know, I actually
Go
thought
back to
about
the
that.
other- Yeah,
Al, I was going to ask you if you can do that. Is there a way to do? Can you double spotlight?
I've lost. I only get chat now when I look at the, let me take chat off here, maybe.
Okay, I can't vote on, when I click, nothing happens.
Is anybody else getting the same thing?
I was able to vote, I think, on both of them.
Okay,
Yeah, I clicked the link. I can vote if I wanted.
When I clicked on this fly right here. I
Yeah.
Didn't say which fly I was voting for. It just said,
Okay,
Eric.
let me try that
Well,
again.
At the
Hang on a
top,
second.
at the top, it did say foam beetle at the top of that link.
Say
It
which
should
one.
say foam beetle fly and it'll say choose your favorite fly,
Yeah.
Eric's fly or Tammy's fly.
Mm-hmm. There's Eric's fly.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Yeah.
And
okay.
copy that and I'll put it back in the chat if that makes any difference, but it should be the same.
yeah, I don't know, Mike, all I'm getting is,
Try that link, John.
okay, just a second.
I can't, yeah, I can't change the views at all.
Do you want me to try and put it in there?
No, it's still not working for me, Mike.
Never works right for you, John.
I know,
That's
it's
true.
it's me. It's
I'm
all
gonna,
me.
I'm gonna forward this to you in email.
Okay,
Yeah, don't
me-
worry, John. I think I voted twice.
okay.
There
Do you want me
go.
to put it in the chats? I got it ready if you want.
Chat. The
What's
vote.
that?
See what I got for results.
This is the fly I've tied before too. This is a size 14, this one. This one has little wings. This is supposed to imitate ones from Estes. Little wing. Kind of what I imitated this little guy on.
We got 8 responses. How'd we do
Wow.
that? Uh-oh. I'm not going to say anything yet. John, have you voted?
Well, I'm going to try again.
Hello, Thomas Kimmett. I haven't seen you in a long time. Since the Papillion days.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy, guys. Thursday nights, I'm usually at the university till 7, so I got off a little early to come and see what you guys are up to tonight.
No, I can't, Mike. It must be because I'm using Windows.
I'm using Windows. I can get in there, John.
Yeah, well, what can I say?
Yeah, but John doesn't use Windows well.
No, I don't. I'm a Linux guy, so.
You're an officer. We're enlisted. We can do it.
There you go.
I have just really been put down and I can't even unpin Tammy. Now, Mike, can you unpin her?
Let me see.
Unspotlight her?
I'll remove my own spotlight.
Can you do that? Okay. There we go.
There you go.
She
Okay.
must have taken control because I can only do chat.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, the results are, drum roll, please.
Dun.
75 to 25%. And the winner is Tammy.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's who I voted for, so I guess that's a good thing.
I called that one several days ago, I think. So
Well, cool.
Well, it's a tie.
Yeah.
We're not going to stick around for a tie off.
Well, this was great fun, Mike. We'll have to do
Yeah,
this
it was.
more often.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah,
It'd be nice to figure out how to do a
side by side.
go both side by side, so you can
Yeah.
do the like Rosenbauer and flag.
Tie at the same time
Where
and
they
stuff.
rotate the flies at the same time and show them both together, and they can make the
Mhm.
decision. But
Yeah.
If you want some help with that, I'll sure be happy to help you with it.
well, that sounds like a good idea. We'll figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah, please.
And maybe I'll do a Tenkara fly against.
Oh, no, no, no,
You can have
No.
a 10 car tie off.
no.
But I'm going to tie it wrong. I'll tell you that right off the bat.
Yeah.
I might make it look better, but I'll tie it wrong.
Yeah, there is no wrong way.
Well, thank you. We had a couple of good guests from Cornhusker Fly Fishers, and it was a really good time.